went in to buy the one book and left with like 7. Hi everyone, my name is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, and today I'm coming to you with a book haul. And you might say, Brittany, didn't you just put out a book haul last month? And you would be correct. I did. I did a couple of things. I went on 2 adventures with little free libraries in my local area, got some books from those. I also went out to a special dinner for my mom's retirement. And while I was there, we went to a restaurant that's like attached to a Indigo Books. And I was not going to go into the bookstore. I really wasn't. But then I walked by and saw a hockey romance that looked interesting and went in to buy the one book and left with like 7. I made poor choices, but here we are. And I also had 1 pre-order come in. So that's kind of where this came in. So it's a mix of used and brand new books. I think I have 6 used books and 8 new books. So let's dive in. And I think we're going to start with the used books and then look at what I bought new. The first book I got was The Girl from Widow Hills by Megan Miranda. This follows Arden. Arden, at the age of 6 years old, wandered outside of her home while sleepwalking and went missing. There was a huge search looking for her. It was during a very bad storm, but they did end up finding Arden. Her mother then wrote a book about this harrowing experience, and it kind of launched the family and her little 6-year-old self into fame and notoriety. Now, as an adult, Arden is living under a different name, trying to kind of escape all of that. But as the anniversary of her rescue comes closer, it kind of ups the media looking into it. And all of a sudden, she's feeling watched. So it sounds like there might be some sort of stalker situation. I don't fully know what's going on in this thriller, but I'm glad to have it on my shelves. This next book, when I found it in the little free library, the cover got me opening up the synopsis because the cover's beautiful. And then when I read the synopsis, I knew I needed to have this. And that is Emily Eternal by M.G. Wheaton. This book follows Emily. Emily is a grad student at MIT. She has her favorite sweater. She's obsessed with herbal tea. She seems like every other grad student. But she is not. She is actually an artificial consciousness created by MIT, and her specialty is to help people recover from trauma. This cover is gorgeous. The story sounds really interesting, and I want to read more sci-fi. I always tend to love the sci-fi I pick up, but I don't read that much of it, so it's definitely a goal for next year to be picking up some more sci-fi. This one is definitely going on the top of that list. I also got in that little free library trip Frederick Bachman's Things My Son Needs to Know About the World. I will read any Frederick Bachman that has ever been written. I love Frederick Bachman's writings, so I had to grab this when I saw it in a little free library. It's a tiny little novella, and I hopefully will be getting to it fairly soon. As far as I know, it's just stuff that this father wants to tell his little boy about the world. It's right there in the title, and that's what the synopsis says as well. And like I said, Frederick Bachman is slowly and surely becoming my favorite author, or one of my favorite authors, and I'm determined to read his whole backlist. The next book I grabbed was Beneath the Starlit Sky by Mark Sullivan. This is based off a true story. It is a fictional retelling, but it's based off a true story, and it's a World War II historical fiction. However, it is set, I believe, in Italy or around Italy, which is actually a part of World War II that I haven't read a lot of books from. A lot of times they're either set in France or in Britain or in Germany. So I feel like the Italy difference is going to make it really interesting. Plus, I find it interesting that it's based off a true story. It follows a young man named Pino. He is 18 when obviously the Nazis take over Italy, and he gets recruited to be the driver of one of the generals in the Nazis' army. However, he never agrees with what the Nazis are doing, and he joins an underground railroad getting the Jews out of Italy. During this time, he falls for a woman named Anna, and it says at the top, in World War II Italy, love was worth spying for, and he actually starts to become a spy as the driver because he's there driving, hears things while he's driving the car for the Allies. This next book I know almost nothing about, and I'm not going to read the synopsis because it is book 2 in a series and I don't want to spoil myself for the first book. But it is An Echo of Things to Come by James Islington. This is the second book in the Lucanus trilogy. I probably said that wrong, but it's my best guess at how to say that word. It is the second book. The first book is The Shadow of What Was Lost. And like I said, I'm not going to read the synopsis of this book because I haven't read that one yet and don't want to spoil myself. But this is now going on the TBR. The last book that I got on my little free library adventures was Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. This was on the list on Goodreads that if you like Spells for Forgetting and if you liked Ink Blood Sister Scribe, you would like this book. I love Spells for Forgetting and I'm in the middle of reading Ink Blood Sister Scribe and I'm having a fabulous time with it. So I have very high hopes for this book. It follows Zoe as she goes back to her hometown. It's a very small coastal town of Mallow Island in South Carolina. She's come home because her mother has passed away and she needs to come to her mother's apartment building, claim her apartment, clean it up, you know, the things that you do. When she arrives, she meets all the people who live in the apartment building, which are quite an eccentric group of people, but also there are 3 ghosts. And from what I can tell, Zoe can somehow communicate with these ghosts, interested to see how that magic works out. While she's there, someone in the apartment is murdered, and it kind of plunges this group of people into a mystery. I definitely have high hopes for this just because it's compared to some books that I really, really love. So now we are into all the new books that I purchased. One of them was a pre-order. The other ones are from that time where I went into the store and went completely crazy and bought way too many books. The only book that I've gotten since I did my last book haul for pre-orders is the 4th book in the Thursday Murder Club series, and that is The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman. This is the 4th book in that series. I'm currently up to date as of reading this, so I just need to read this one and I will be up to date in the series, which there is not that many series I could say that for, so go me. This follows 4 senior citizens. They're in their 70s and 80s. They live in an assisted living facility and they solve cold cases. They have access to a ton of old cold case police files. How they get those is explained in the 1st book. And they are solving cold cases and they call themselves the Thursday Murder Club because they meet on Thursdays in the Jigsaw room. These characters are so fantastic. They have a group of side characters that help them, some police officers that they pulled in, some criminals that they pulled in. It is a really interesting cast of characters for this cozy mystery series. I love every character in these books. Richard Osman's characters are so unique and so eccentric and so fun to follow. That is what I come to this series for. Also, Richard Osman is very funny and the books will definitely make you laugh out loud. The mysteries are quite fun and I will spend as much time with these characters and these senior citizens as Richard Osman will let me. So like I said, the rest of these books were bought all in one time going into the bookstore. I think I was in a fugue state, okay? I have no explanation for what happened. I wasn't even planning on going into the bookstore. I was walking by the bookstore when I saw the new releases table kind of pushed out front and I saw this book. I went, "What is that?" And I went into the bookstore. And I bought so many books. I have no explanation for it other than that. But this is the book that made me walk into the store. So this is the catalyst for that decision. And that is Time to Shine by Rachel Reed. Rachel Reed, come to find out when I went into the store, is actually a local author to me. So I'm very excited to be supporting some local authors. This is a gay hockey romance set in Canada. I'm very excited to add this to my TBR. I will definitely be reading it this kind of cold winter hockey season. So like I said, this is a hockey romance. It follows Landon and Casey. Landon is being called up from Calgary's farm team to the big leagues and is roommates with Casey, who is the young superstar on the Calgary team. It doesn't call them the Calgary Flames. I'm wondering if it's just because not allowed to because it's an NHL team. But from what I can tell, it's the NHL team in Calgary that he's being called up to, and they become roommates and a romance happens. I also grabbed Alice Feeney's new book, Good Bad Girl. This says 20 years after a baby is stolen from a stroller and a woman is killed at a nursing home, the 2 crimes are somehow linked. And now in the present, they are trying to put the pieces together and they might find out what happened to the missing baby, the mother who lost her, and the connections that bind them. The synopsis doesn't really say much about this book, but I'm always looking for a good thriller to add to my shelves. In the same vein as a good thriller, I ended up picking A Death at the Party by Amy Stewart. This was an arc I actually requested. I didn't get it. That's totally fine. But I want to read the thriller, so now here it is. This follows Nadine. Nadine is at her party. She has made this beautiful garden party and her guests are there. They're having champagne in the garden. It's a beautiful, beautiful party. Nadine has put in a lot of work to have this party go off without a hitch. But during the party, she finds herself in her basement standing over a dead body. I'm assuming that's not the vibes Nadine was going for when she was planning her garden party. So then we rewind back in time to earlier that day and we see what led up to the dead body in the basement. And also this cover is absolutely gorgeous. So this book I've seen all over Bookstagram and BookTube, and it looks like the perfect fall read. So when I saw it in the store, it went in my cart, stack, what have you. And it's You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This is such a cozy fall cover, and I'm so excited to read it before the weather changes. I kind of want to go outside with all the turning leaves and just be in the fall breeze in a cozy sweater and reading this book. So this follows Ari and Josh. They meet, they instantly hate each other. And from what I can tell, the reason behind that is because they didn't know it until they met, but they're dating the same woman. Fast forward to many years later, they meet again and kind of somehow strike up a friendship. And then that friendship turns into something more. So this is kind of like rivals to friends to lovers from what I can tell from the synopsis. I definitely will be reading it this fall. This next book I picked up because Bree from Four Paws Into Books read it, loved it, has not stopped talking about it, and I must read this book. And that is Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner. This book is, I believe, the second by the author. I own the first one, Mistakes Were Made. I'm supposed to be reading it this month. As of filming this, I have not. It's on my TBR, so I do need to read it. Anyway, it's a sapphic soccer romance. That is literally all that I know, and that Brie absolutely loved this book, and I'm sick of feeling the FOMO. So just for a little bit of background information, there shall never be a book about books that I don't want to read. It's just not going to happen. So I saw this on the shelves. It's wintry. Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
And I need some winter reads on my TBR, and it's a book about books. And it's The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan. I had never heard of this until I saw it on the shelves, but it was an impulse buy. And I'll be reading it hopefully this winter. It's set at Maple Sugar Inn, where Hetty Coleman and her husband Brent have run a hotel or an inn. And Brett restored the whole hotel. It is beautiful, and they just love their little inn. However, Brett has now passed away and has left Hetty with all the job of running the inn alone. Her three friends come to town for a book club vacation weekend, and it's exactly what Hetty needs to kind of get her life back on track and move forward with the inn and what her life's going to look like now that Brett is gone. I love found family, and I think with the friend group, this is going to have a big found family vibe. It's also a book about books, so it had a lot of things that made me want to pick it up. So this last book I have seen now being talked about, but when I went into the bookstore, I had never heard of it, and it was definitely a title cover buy, and that is God Killer by Hannah Kaner. This cover is everything that I want it to be. It is so beautiful. I've heard mixed reviews of this book though since buying it, so I'm hoping that I love it because the cover is gorgeous and the synopsis sounds like something that I would like as well. The concept sounds interesting. I'm concerned about the execution based off reviews, but I own it and I'm going to give it a try. In this world, the gods are forbidden from entering Midrin. They are not allowed in. The new king has made that a law and has forbidden them from the city. He also pays people called God Killers to kill any that decide to come. Other than that, I really don't know anything about this because like I said, I hadn't even heard of it when I bought it. I've heard some reviews since, but I've kind of been only listening to those partway because I didn't want any spoilers. And we'll see if I like this book. Like I said, I'm going to go into this with a little bit of tempered excitement because I know not all the reviews have been great, but I'm really hoping that I love this because it's so gorgeous and the concept sounds so interesting. And that is the end of this book haul. That is the 14 new books that I have added to my bookshelves this month. I'm hoping this is the last book haul for the year. Can I promise you that? Absolutely not. In all theory, this will be the last book haul of the year. Anyway, are there any of these titles that you are excited to read or have already read? Please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.